Welcome to LFFL Primetime, everything you need to know about the LFFL in just 5 or so minutes. So let's get started with the original league. We had another exciting week of action over here, and we only have one undefeated team left. That's right. We have played 2 games, and 9 of the 10 teams have already lost. Very impressive. Your only undefeated team is Eric, who won a 16-point thriller over Phil, two of the higher scores of the week. Well done, boys. Bill Berardi actually puts up the highest score of the week, a 174-102 win over Greg to get his first win of the season. Miles gets his first win of the season, hands me a loss. Todd beats Matt in a traditional Class of 96 rivalry. And then finally, the younger brothers affair down here, Andy, the 3-point win over Josh, handing the defending champion his first loss of the young season. Here are your standings right here. We have Eric pacing the field at 2-0. Everybody else at 1-1 except for my sorry squadron, who is the only team that hasn't broken 200 points on the season and sits at 0-2. LFFL 3 week 3. I'm sorry, LFFL week 3. Phil taking on Greg in the Battle of the Kaufmans. They split their 2 matchups last year, and Greg does hold a 19-17 lead in the series over his big brother. Matt and Andy also split their matchups last year. Matt has a 21-17 lead in that series. Another matchup of 1-1 teams. Todd taking on Miles. Todd beat Miles in week 3 last season and even the career series at 2-2. Bill and I split our matchup for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons last year, and I now have a 19-14 lead in the series. But your primetime matchup has to be the undefeated team, right? And it just so happens it was this week. He is taking on the defending champion. Should be a terrific game. Eric is also leading this league in scoring as well as being the only undefeated team. Josh, off to a solid 1-1 start after that tight loss to Andy last week. Josh actually swept Eric in their 2 meetings last year and now holds a 15-13 lead in the series. Fantrax currently has Eric as a 3-point favorite in this game. LFFL 2, Andy, a tight 4-point win over me. Phil beats Bill. Greg, a 3-point win over Miles. We had Eric taking out the Merrill brothers, and Todd with the high score of the week taking out Sean. Looking at your standings, you have this team is a keeper. Andy, Phil, and Eric all still at 2-0. Guess it, you got to get a great team name. All three have fun team names, and they are undefeated on the season. Andy in first because he has scored more points than either Phil or Eric. Todd, Bill, Greg, and Miles all at 1-1. Myself, Sean, and Merrill's still looking for their first win of the season. And looking at your games this week, Greg taking on myself, Eric taking on Andy in a battle of undefeated teams. We have Bill taking on Miles, Sean and the Merrills taking each other on, seeing if one of the two teams get their first win. And finally, Phil is hiding behind my face. He's taking on Todd. LFFL 3, I was able to get a cruise to victory over Nate. We had Greg, a close one over Miles. Todd, a 10-point win over Matt Brennan. A 2-point win for Bill over Phil. A big win for Phil over Matt Merrill. And finally, Andy, a resounding victory over Sean. That means your standings, we have 4 undefeated teams over here. Myself, Bill, Todd, and Phil all sit in the undefeated category. Eric, Greg, Andy, and Miles are all at 1-1 with Sean, Matt Brennan, Matt Merrill, and Nate all at 0-2. This week, we have Miles taking on myself, Eric taking on Todd, Greg taking on Matt Merrill, Nate taking on Matt Brennan. So one will get a first win, and one will drop to 0-3. And in this league, 0-3, I'm not saying it's done. It's not good. Andy taking on Bill, and Sean taking on Phil. LFFL4, congratulations to Miles Moore, a 199.24 total on Sunday, his 8th win, and the 13th best total of all time. So very impressive stuff, Miles. Eric, a strong 173.1 number in second place. I was able to take the Browns at 155.66. We move over to Monday night. Miles was within 1 point of the double this weekend after Matt Brennan did it last weekend. However, Jeremy touched him out at 94.28. He swept Miles. He swept the 1 point kept Miles from that sweep. Jeremy's, I don't know if we're calling this a showdown. It was a 2-game slate. Either way, it's a multiple win for Jeremy. He's already won in both those events. Greg comes in third, just a few percentages of point over Nate. Look at your standings. Matt Brennan paces the way. Eric's at 18. I'm at 17. Greg's at 16. Miles at 15. Andy at 12. Nate at 12. Jeremy 11. Phil 11. Bill 11. Todd 8. Here's how we're going to score this year. In the main slate games, where we have much more games to choose from, little harder to do it. We're offering as many as 10 points. So if you come in first, you get 10. Come in second, you get 9. Come in third, you get 8, etc., etc., etc. With the showdown games, because there's more of them and there's less in play, we're offering 5 points for first, 4 points for second, and so on. So we won't award points after fifth place in the showdown games. So that's how I've arrived at these calculations. Matt Brennan leading the way. LFFL 5, I was able to beat Miles. Phil is a winner. Cooper Troopers, Eric is a winner. Kaufmania, Greg is a winner. And Sean is a winner. What that means is Sean, Phil, myself all sit at 2-0 on the season. Greg, Bill, Eric, and Nate all 1-1 with Andy, Miles, and Todd looking for that first W on the season. Todd gets to take me on this week to get that W. Miles looking for his first win against Greg. Nate taking on Andy. Bill taking on Phil. And Eric taking on Sean. LFFL 6, nice if the Kaufmans would let someone else play over here. Your monthly leaders, Eric, Greg, Sean, Matt, Phil, Greg, Phil. Wow, that was a lot of Kaufmans there. Greg and Phil pacing the way. Greg at 4.3, Phil at 4.7, Miles taking the bronze right now at 5.9. It'd be nice, clearly experience, irrelevant right now in this league. Matt and I, the two most veteran players of this league, sitting in 13th and 14th. Need to pull it together a little bit, do we? LFFL 7, your elimination is Todd. 154.7 points will get him kicked out of here. Jeremy, the near-death experience at 160.8. Factor was a little screwy. I was having trouble following along. Todd was the lowest scoring team coming into last night, theoretically, and he is the lowest scoring team out. So Todd joins me in the eliminated category. LFFL 8, you may have eliminated me in 7. I have the lead over here. I put up the high score of the week and moved into first place. I am now ahead of Greg in second and Todd in third, my brother in fourth, and Matt Brennan in fifth. Finally, LFFL 9, I finally got all the calculations together. We are through 2 of our 4 weeks. Remember, we have a 4-week seeding round. We will take 21 teams and eliminate them down to 16 teams. Greg, 2, leads the way. Phil, 1 in second. Eric, 2 in third. They're your top 3 teams. Phil, 2 in fourth. Those will be your 4 1 seeds if we stopped today, because we have 4 1 seeds in our bracket challenge here. This 15, 16, 17, that range is what we're looking at. That's where you want to get into. Fun fact this week, Bill, 2 scores this week. 204.1, 204.2. How's that for consistency? We like it, Mr. Berardi. Hey, that's all I got for this week. I hope you have a great time. Make sure you hop in our DK contest on Thursday and on Sunday. I will have those as a part of this email. And hey, hope you're having a great season so far. It's been a blast so far. We'll talk to you later on next week.